Hi there. So I'm going to do a video today that I'm going to have to get a little probably creative with my words here, because I'm going to run through everything that I remember about a certain event that woke me up that has been scrubbed from the internet. Most all of the stuff that you used to be able to find on it is gone, okay? And that is this. Okay, now, a lot of people ask me how long I've been at this. Okay. I would say that I was never as asleep as maybe your average person, because I have always been a nerd, and I always read everything I could get my hands on. And so I learned at a very, very young age that the government was not our friend, okay? All right. Now, so if you'll note, in 2012, I did not look up the date, but there was an event, a mass event by that name, and it was a hoax. And that's what woke me up, or that's what made me really start questioning, okay? All right. Now, here's what triggered it, okay? At the time, I was working at the Western Division of Justice. It was a agency that administered federal grant money for the state of West Virginia. And I was the lead accountant there, and I saw, you know, some of the inner workings of the justice system in that 6 years' time and how corrupt it is. But anyways, I can remember when this was on the news, you know, and they're talking about it. I said to my coworkers, I said, you know, well, there's something really strange here. And they're like, what? It's like, well, the FBI was a first responder. FBI's never a first responder. I mean, if you call the police and they're 911, what's your emergency? Do they send the FBI? No. Even if there were, say, a drill going on, because that was the excuse, there was a drill going on nearby, they still don't send the FBI first. I don't care if it is a huge shooting. They don't send them first, okay? That's just not how it works. Unless they already knew it was coming. Okay, so there was a 911 tape that has since been, of course, scrubbed, that had the 911 operator saying, and the actor's name is such and such. And it goes on to this whole, you know, it was obvious that they knew that this was an act. Then we've got Adam Lanza, the alleged shooter that weighed a whopping 112 pounds, which we'll get into the gematria of this event in a second. But there's no way that this man was carrying around machine guns and doing all this as 112 pounds. Then let's get into the fact that it looks like David Hogg, the guy that was in the shooting in Florida, allegedly, a few years ago at the Paradise School or whatever it was. Come to find out, his mom is an FBI agent. Now, it gets more interesting. The Sandy Hook Elementary had been shut down for years prior to this event. They reopened it that school year. Well, coincidentally or not, you can find property records where the U.S. corporation purchased every home in that town in 2009. And it's called Newtown, Connecticut. So what if, now this is out there, I know, but you know, you have to understand that, you know, they really want our guns gone, okay? And they really like trauma to help us. They like us to give up our stuff voluntarily rather than taking it, because there are people that are intelligent enough to see the scam. So what if they bought the whole town? Moved in all crisis actors. One thing that I was thinking about looking up that I haven't, that I might. I wonder if the people that were in Newtown at the time, in 2009, when the property was purchased, I wonder if there was a mass exodus of those people, like moving to other places, and then new people came in. It's hard to say, okay? But we're talking a huge Truman Show style of a stage here. is what this event was. Now, they have since, of course, torn the school down rather than having any kind of investigation. Several reports that are typically available after a large event like that have never been released because they don't exist. Then we can get into the Alex Jones debacle. Controlled opposition, he is. So, he intentionally started questioning Sandy Hook. Potentially, maybe, he may want people to wake up. He may have a decent intent in his heart. I can't say. I don't sense it, but he could. I can't, But if you're not aware, there was a lawsuit where he allegedly, a civil suit, I believe, where he got sued, and supposedly, it was found that the Sandy Hook thing did happen and that he was fined for questioning it and all this. Well, that's a huge scale psychological operation, fake legal proceeding, done on the world stage in order to get us to stop questioning or to make us afraid to stop questioning. Some of us don't fear death, but some of us do fear police states and complete tyranny. So, what can I say? Now, let's get into the gematria. So 56 is a big number with this event. And there was supposedly one of the first responders on December 14th this past year, supposedly I think it was December 14th. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, supposedly one of the first responders died of COVID-19, of course. But in the picture that they show of this man, there just happens to be a strategically placed 56 on the license plate in the photo. Well, if you know anything about gematria, 56 is an important number. There's a lot of 56 surrounding this event. We got 56 gematria. Sandy Hook School, built in 1956. The event took place 56 years later. Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. Divide that by 2. What do you get? 56. Sandy Hook also 112 gematria. Goes on and on and on. Now, so there was a Super Bowl performance in 2013. Now, at the time, there was some talk that some of those that were in the know started freaking out that they'd actually killed a bunch of kids. And so what they did to comfort those people or to let them know that they didn't is they had, in the 2013 Super Bowl, they had the kids from Sandy Hook Elementary. But if you compare those children with the children that were the alleged victims, it's the same kids. And then, the crisis actors, I don't know if you've ever looked into crisis actors, but I mean, you can go out and look for, you can find job listings for crisis actors where they're trying to hire them. People be like, well, the crisis actor thing is nonsense. Well, then why are there employment listings? Yeah. Okay. So, and as far as people are like, well, they can't do a fake lawsuit. They can't do a fake. Absolutely, they can. There are things called mock trials and focus groups that attorneys participate in all the time, and they operate exactly like a real proceeding. And that's how they do these mock proceedings, but they tell people that they're real. Now, I still need to look up, I would like to look up that case. I want to look up that case, and I want to see what exactly the findings were. I'll get the stuff, if I can find it. See, if it's not a legitimate thing, it may not come up, but we'll see. But, all the world's a stage. I mean, I had somebody this morning, I commented on, she's a real nice girl, and she's like, well, my intuition is telling me that, me following my gifts and doing divination and things like that is not wrong. But the Bible tells me that it is, and I don't want to do anything wrong and blah, blah, blah. And all I had to say to her was, the clue's in the wording. Holy Scriptures. It's a script. Pre-plan doesn't equal prophecy. The same people that are in control of this realm today wrote that book. So that sums up my recollection of that event, I think. And if I come up with if anybody else remembers anything else, please leave it in the comments. Have a great day.